I'd started out actually debunking these things. Immediately there's a buzz, is it real? And then you sort of go down the rabbit hole of what is real. I'm Jonathan Ferguson. I'm Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum, and we are here in stores at the Royal Armouries in Leeds. What we're here to look at today is, I would hope is self-explanatory, but it's a vampire killing kit. We've had this kit for about 8 years now, purchased at auction in the north of England. There are only 2 of these, as far as we know, in museums around the world, one in America and one here. Like us, they want something tangible of the culture of vampirism, if that makes sense. They're an aspect of history, they're part of folklore, fiction, which is one of the great things about this. This allows us to talk about that history and that sort of lost aspect of our subject, of arms and armour. It has all the various accoutrements you would need in theory to slay a vampire. Often said to date from the late 19th century. Very difficult to disprove that, but I have my doubts. So we've got our stakes here and a mallet, obviously. Very difficult to pound that stake in unless you're, I don't know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something. We've got a crucifix to ward off the vampire, perhaps. And then down here is a tiny crucifix on a rosary, set of rosary beads. So it's a very Catholic angle on this, which is interesting in that vampires originate from the Slavic countries where the Eastern Orthodox Church predominates, but nonetheless. There's actually also a little Bible inscription in here which has the word slaying in it, which I suspect is why it's in there. It's otherwise not massively relevant. The gun, I suppose, sticks out like a sore thumb, because are guns really for killing vampires with? Well, depends what films you watch, what books you read. They do feature, sometimes with silver bullets, and we have a mould down here in that cavity there for casting, perhaps, silver bullets. And finally, there are 3 bottles containing assorted condiments, as I like to think of it. So we've got garlic in there, holy water, long since evaporated, along with the holiness, presumably, and a labelled bottle that says Sacred Earth, which is possibly a reference to a detail in Dracula, but it's kind of backwards. Dracula can only sort of recharge himself in his own soil, and that's the opposite of Sacred Earth, really. But nonetheless, we have a bottle of Sacred Earth. These are kind of found objects that we've got in here. Every component is probably of the right date. The gun is from the 1850s, the prayer book's from 1851, the bottles are about the right era. In this case, the box, according to a box expert, is about 1920, so Nosferatu era rather than Dracula era, but nonetheless of some antiquity. But when was it all put together? There's a historical approach of looking at fiction and folklore. What do people really think about how to kill vampires? Going back to about the 18th century. And if you think of these things as a product, like any other, there's got to be a time in history where someone would look at this and go, yeah, that's a vampire killing kit, I want one of those. When in pop culture, for example, did the gun become a thing for killing vampires? Prior to that, no one's going to want it. There's going to be no market. So all of the items in here have to be recognizable, iconic, I would say. So putting all that together, I still came out at around about 1970. But as it turns out, although that disappoints some people, a lot of us are of the opinion that this is still a contemporary museum object. You can see them as fakes if you like, but as far as we know, there's nothing that they're a fake of. They're an original thing in their own right. We weren't quite sure where to put it at first. At one point, we put it on display in the hunting gallery, so vampire hunting. And some of them are very functional things, and they would work if you needed them to work. Let's hope we don't need this to work at any point.